the last part here. Obviously, you mentioned earlier, Luka and was a was an MVP kind of beginning of the year. I guess you could say he's kind of on the outside looking in now. Obviously, it seems like the main few, LeBron has been there, Embiid, and some Jokic. I actually have another name I'd like to add, but I'm gonna go with you first. Um, any one of these three or any players right now, who would be your MVP, or maybe just list a couple of names that come to mind.
I mean, if the season ended right now and I had to pick one person, as much as I dislike the Philadelphia 76ers, to me, it is Joel Embiid because I think just the shooters and just the additions they've made, the changes, I think has helped his game a ton. But also the guy is just playing at a whole nother level. I mean, I think he's shooting like over 40% from deep. He's like ball handling where he's taking it from the 3 point line all the way to the paint. He's doing Euro steps like crazy. There's
Pull up
like
mid
Euro steps.
ranges on top of the ball handling that you mentioned.
Yeah, on top of the fact that he's a defensive monster and he's, just arguably, I think he's probably the best, post scorer in the league right now. Um, it's just hard for me not to pick him because Philly's just on fire. I mean, they got swept last year in the playoffs in the first round, and now they have. I don't know if it's the best record in the NBA, but they have the best record in the East. And if it's not the best in the NBA, it's I think second behind the Jazz. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Lakers might have better as well. I don't know the exact
So the
sequence, but
Jazz and the Lakers both have better record or percentages
okay,
and
yeah.
records. Granted, I think
Um,
they played less. Jazz have played a few less games.
okay, so but yeah, I mean, to me, like I said, it's Embiid right now. I think LeBron's like super close right there, though. I think the Lakers just aren't being talked about as much right now for some reason. I don't know why that is. Maybe just because they're doing typical stuff,
They're
and
just
so there's
cruising.
not a lot of there's not a lot of dramatic headlines you can pull from that because we're on year what 18 of LeBron doing this, so this ain't nothing new. So I don't think it's necessarily far between those two. And if someone else were to pick LeBron, I could absolutely see that. I just think that Embiid, he's playing on a whole another level right now. But we'll have to see if he can continue that for the entire season. But I will say, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Joel Embiid and him having MVP potential, and some people have criticized him and said that he just doesn't want it enough, or he hasn't unlocked it, or whatever. I think we're starting to see this season that exact potential coming out because he is just doing things that we've never seen him do before.
Yeah. So, and I would agree. So Embiid's okay. I would put if I had to rank them. This is very close though. I would say Embiid is my favorite, but I do want to throw in here. This would be my number two. Steph Curry. He's just. I mean, especially as of
Yeah,
late, he has been basically like been the offense. I mean, I know he's just been on fire, and I think he deserves to definitely be in that conversation because as of right now, Golden State's the eight seed. I definitely don't think they would be even even in contention if he hadn't been playing. I mean, we saw them last year; they were horrible.
can
Granted,
we
it was
acknowledge the people who like 3 games into the year were like Steph Curry can't carry a team. We've seen LeBron do it. We've seen Durant. All these guys do it. Steph Curry can't do it. And look at him now. I mean, the guy has him in a playoff spot, and they are just not a good team. The old injuries, all that kind of
yeah.
stuff,
I mean,
and he's
Wiseman's
still
been in and
balling.
out too, so it's not like they've had their number three pick. You know, playing. He's only been playing like a handful. He's been play like starter minutes still. So yeah.
And Wiggins and Oubre is incredibly inconsistent, and Wiggins is
Of course,
he
Ubre.
is
I feel like I texted you this. I was like, watch Ubre have an amazing game against us, and I think because we played them back to back, and I think that first game that we actually won, barely, he still had like he was like their leading scorer. It was just my luck. I talk trash about Ubre, and he goes off on us. But yeah, and then I would put LeBron at three. Once again, not too far. It's all I'm just being a little bit at this point. You're being nitpicky with these guys, but I would put LeBron at three. But I guess Jokic at four. But yeah, it's regards to the MVP race, it will be interesting. But I feel like Steph Curry should be. I think our boy Kendrick Perkins has already gone out and he's put him in the conversation. He hasn't. Kendrick hasn't gone on the limb to put him as his MVP. I don't think. But yeah, I think Steph deserves to be in there. But yeah, any other worthy candidates? I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe Donovan Mitchell the way he's been playing. I'm not. I think at least there's a maybe in the conversation. I wouldn't say the MVP, but maybe outside looking in, kind of like Luca. But no one else I can really.
yeah.
Good.
It's just kind of tough outside of those four because a lot of these other teams either they don't have a guy that's playing at that level or is at that level, or it's like the Nets to where they have guys who have been MVPs, but because of just the immense talent that is on that team, they're not going to have as high of numbers individually. So I can't really think of anybody else that I would throw in there. I will say, I mean, call me crazy, but if I actually had to like bet money on who I truly think at the end of the year would be winning it, to me, it's either LeBron because he's always in that spot, or Steph Curry, honestly, because I think that if I could see anyone continuing to just go off over and over and over to just will his team to victories and get like the sixth or fifth seed or something like that, just because of him going nuts, it would be Steph Curry.
Yeah, and Steph's definitely more highlight worthy. They're both more highlight worthy than Embiid. And I will say, I think you mentioned it too. Not that it has been an issue this year, but you have to remember if we're putting money, I would not put my money on Joel just because of injury history. Because who knows? He's had the foot and things like that, and he's a big man, so that can happen at any moment. While Steph, and LeBron, especially in recent years, have been. I know last year was a little bit more of an anomaly for. I would consider more of an anomaly or outlier for Golden State, but those two have been mainly healthy, especially LeBron. I mean, we all know LeBron's been, one of the healthiest people, in terms of players. So. Anything else you wanted to hit on before we call it?
The Celtics are down by 11, and that sucks because we're going to lose to the Pistons again, who we already lost to earlier in the year.
We beat the Hawks, and of course we talk bad about. This happens every time. We talk bad about the Mavs, and they're out here beating the Pelicans, and they're probably gonna go on like a 3-game win streak. So happens every time. We did it with the Suns, and now the Suns are. We probably won't have time to talk about them, but just a quick note: congrats to the Suns. They're the 4 seed right now, balling out. So, just our luck. So if your team is struggling, comment, and we will talk about them, and they will probably go on a win streak. I can't guarantee they make the playoffs, especially if you're a Piston or a Washington fan. Can't guarantee it. If I can't guarantee, they'll probably go on a 1 or 2 game win streak. Make an upset.
In the next week and a half, Kemba's going to play like an MVP. All right, the Heat are going to vault themselves like to the 5th seed, and the Mavericks are going to be right back in the playoff conversation.
I mean, right now, Luka. I just want to look at the box score. I saw they both had Luka and Porzingis both had 30 earlier. Porzingis has 36, Luka has 43, 11 and 8, and they're both shooting above 50%. So, but it is the Pelicans, so I mean, but regardless, our jinx lives on. But yeah, like I mentioned, if you do want to do that or any other feedback, you can hit up on Instagram at ShutUpAndBallPod. Twitter is just at ShutUpAndBall. Obviously, you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. And obviously, we also have a Facebook page. Just Shut Up and Ball's Facebook page. And if you're listening via the podcast, leave us a review. Once again, if you want your team to go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you finish this, then I got one final note.
Okay, I can say leave a review, and if you want if you want your team or a team to go on a heater, tell us to talk about them, and we'll talk about them, and they will go on like a 2 or 3 game win streak probably. Go ahead.
Okay, people need to talk about Zion Williamson more right now. The guy just against the Mavericks dropped 35 points on 14 of 15 shooting. I think on the season he's over 60% from the field, averaging like 25 a game.
He only had
this guy's and because I guess LaMelo Ball, the media turned completely away from him last year, him and John Morant, because also we don't hear about John anymore. All to LaMelo and just some of the normal stars that we see. So
their teams aren't in the playoff race yet. So
yeah, but I mean the guy he's been playing at a fantastic level. So that was my last piece. Talk about Zion Williamson more.
Yeah, well, now they're going to win streak, so maybe we'll have to regardless. But regardless, that wraps up for this one. We'll definitely be taking a week break, like we mentioned, but we'll probably be back with basketball soon, unless something crazy happens, and we might have to come back next week. So otherwise, hope everyone has a good, safe weekend. If you're in Texas like us, it's going to be cold here for the next week, or our version of cold. So stay safe, all that. But otherwise, I hope everyone has a nice night, and enjoy yourself.